Admiral Chen stood before the holographic display showing 43 alien vessels approaching Earth's solar system in perfect formation. Each ship was larger than the enforcement vessel they'd destroyed, and their combined mass represented more firepower than humanity had ever imagined possible. "Time to contact?" she asked her tactical officer. 18 hours at their current deceleration rate, Lieutenant Commander Park reported. "But Admiral, we're detecting something else. Energy signatures from ships positioned throughout the galaxy. This isn't just a single fleet response." Dr. Torres looked up from her analysis station, her face pale. "It's a coordinated galactic response. The quantum network disruption we caused triggered some kind of emergency protocol. We're reading similar fleet movements from 12 different star systems." Chen felt the weight of humanity's survival pressing down on her shoulders. In destroying one ship, they'd apparently triggered a response that would bring thousands of alien vessels into Sol system within weeks. "Options?" she asked the assembled command staff. General Webb stepped forward, his expression grim but determined. "Our production facilities have been running non-stop since the first contact. We now have 86 operational warships, and the civilian conversion program has given us another 200 armed vessels. But against those numbers, we'll be slaughtered," finished President Santos, who had moved her entire government to the underground command bunkers. "Unless we have something they don't expect." Dr. Wong approached the central display carrying a tablet that practically vibrated with excitement. "Actually, we might. The debris analysis from their enforcement vessel has yielded some extraordinary information." He activated a new display showing the internal structure of Zephyrian technology. Their entire civilization is built around quantum entanglement networks, communication, navigation. Even their power distribution systems rely on quantum coherence across vast distances. Chen studied the technical readouts, which means they're extremely vulnerable to quantum disruption. When we destroyed their ship, the cascade effect disabled their ability to coordinate across star systems. Right now, each of these fleets is operating independently, without communication with their central command or each other. Dr. Torres pulled up tactical projections. "More importantly, we've identified the source of their quantum network. There's a massive installation in the Vega system that appears to be their primary coordination hub. If we could disrupt that, we'd cripple their entire galactic infrastructure." Chen finished, her mind racing through the implications. "But Vega is 25 light-years away. Even with their technology, how could we possibly reach it?" "We don't need their technology," said Dr. Kim, approaching the group with manufacturing reports. "We've been reverse engineering their quantum communication protocols. Our engineers think they can build a quantum disruption bomb that doesn't need to be delivered physically." Chen turned to face her. "Explain. If we can establish a strong enough quantum entanglement with their network hub, we can transmit the disruption effect instantaneously across any distance. The explosion at the hub would propagate back through their entire quantum infrastructure." General Webb frowned. "That sounds incredibly dangerous." "What if the effect propagates back to our systems?" Dr. Wong nodded seriously. "It would destroy every quantum-based technology in human space as well. We'd lose faster than light communication. Advanced computing systems probably set our technology back by decades." Chen looked around the room at faces showing fear, determination, and the kind of desperate hope that came with impossible choices. "But we'd survive as a species. There's one more factor," Torres added quietly. "The quantum entanglement process requires enormous power. More power than any single ship or facility can generate. We'd need to channel the entire output of our solar collection network." Chen studied the tactical displays, watching the approaching alien fleets with their overwhelming firepower and advanced technology. Then she thought about her daughter. About the 200,000 humans the aliens intended to take. About the biological weapons being prepared on Luna. "How long do we need to build this quantum disruption device?" "With every facility working together, maybe 48 hours, Kim replied. "But Admiral, the approaching fleets will be here in 18 hours. Chen straightened her uniform and looked around the command center. Then we need to hold them off for 30 hours longer than they expect us to survive. The next 18 hours transformed human space into the largest battlefield in the species' history. As the Zephyrian fleet decelerated toward Earth's orbital zone, human vessels took up defensive positions that looked hopeless on any rational analysis. Captain Vasquez commanded a mixed group of military and civilian ships positioned near the asteroid belt. Her force included the badly damaged Prometheus, 12 converted mining vessels, and 30 smaller craft that would barely qualify as warships under normal circumstances. Incoming transmission from the alien fleet, her communications officer reported. The message was broadcast across all human frequencies simultaneously. Species of Sol 3, you have committed acts of violence against Galactic Cooperative Enforcement personnel. Surrender immediately, or face complete extermination. Vasquez looked around her bridge at faces showing the same mixture of fear and defiance she felt in her own gut. These weren't professional soldiers. Half her crew were miners and cargo haulers who'd volunteered for humanity's defense. Open a channel to all ships, she ordered. This is Captain Vasquez. In a few minutes, we're going to face odds that no military force in human history has ever survived. But we're not fighting for victory today. We're fighting to buy time for our engineers to save our species. She paused, looking out at space where human ships were taking final positions. Every minute we hold them here is a minute closer to humanity's survival. Make them count. The alien attack began with surgical precision. Long-range energy beams lanced out from the Zephyrian formation, targeting human vessels with impossible accuracy. Ships began exploding across the defensive perimeter as exotic weapons overwhelmed every defensive system humanity had developed. But Chen had planned for this. The human defensive plan wasn't based on surviving the alien weapons. It was based on making the aliens pay a price for every meter of space they advanced. Modified cargo vessels released clouds of debris designed to interfere with alien sensors. Converted mining ships used their industrial-grade excavation lasers to carve chunks out of asteroids and launch them at the alien formation. Most importantly, every human vessel was equipped with the quantum resonance transmitters that had proven effective against Zephyrian hull materials. The aliens found themselves fighting an enemy that refused to engage conventionally. Human ships would appear from behind asteroids, launch attacks designed to disrupt alien formation integrity, then retreat before the superior firepower could respond effectively. Captain Morrison, now commanding a squadron of converted patrol boats, led a series of hit-and-run attacks that used Earth's moon as cover. His small ships couldn't survive direct engagement with the alien vessels, but they could dart in, deploy quantum disruption devices, and escape while the alien ships dealt with structural failures. Admiral, the alien fleet is adapting to our tactics, reported Captain Vasquez during a brief communication window. They're deploying smaller vessels for pursuit operations. Chen watched the battle displays from Earth Command, seeing human losses mounting steadily. They'd held the aliens for 9 hours, but the cost was devastating. Over half the human fleet was gone, and the survivors were running low on ammunition and power. Dr. Torres, status on the quantum device? Final assembly in progress. We need another 6 hours. Chen looked at the tactical displays showing alien forces penetrating the asteroid belt defenses. Human ships were fighting with desperate courage. But physics and numbers were against them. General Webb, initiate Operation Thermopylae. Webb nodded grimly and activated the emergency command protocols. Across Earth's surface, automated defense systems came online. Orbital platforms that had been disguised as communication satellites revealed themselves as weapons emplacements. Most importantly, the planet's entire industrial infrastructure was converted into one massive weapons factory. The Zephyrians found themselves facing an enemy that treated their entire solar system as a weapon. Manufacturing platforms began launching swarms of automated attack drones. Mining facilities redirected asteroid mining charges into improvised missiles. Even civilian space stations contributed by launching clouds of industrial waste designed to interfere with alien navigation systems. Dr. Kim approached Chen with the final status report. Admiral, we're ready for quantum device activation, but I need to warn you about the power requirements. Chen looked up from the tactical displays. What about them? Channeling this much energy through Earth's power grid will cause permanent damage to our electrical infrastructure. We're talking about rolling blackouts for months, possibly years. Chen thought about the cities full of people depending on advanced technology for everything from transportation to medical care. Then she looked at the displays showing the surviving human ships, making their final stands against overwhelming odds. Activate the device. Across Earth's surface, power grids began redirecting every available watt toward the massive quantum entanglement transmitters that had been built in secret facilities around the globe. Cities went dark as their electricity was channeled into humanity's last, desperate gambit. The quantum entanglement established itself slowly, requiring precise calibration to match the alien network frequencies. As the connection strengthened, human technicians began detecting the true scope of the Zephyrian civilization. Admiral, we're reading network connections to over 400 star systems, Torres reported, her voice showing mixture of awe and terror. Their civilization spans a significant portion of the galaxy. Can we disrupt it? Yes. But Admiral, the cascade effect will be enormous. We're not just talking about communication networks. Their entire infrastructure is quantum-based. Transportation, manufacturing, life support systems. Chen understood the implications. What they were about to do wouldn't just disable the Zephyrian military. It would cripple their entire civilization, potentially causing massive casualties across hundreds of worlds. She thought about the biological weapons being prepared to exterminate humanity. She thought about the slave labor programs and the casual way the aliens had demanded 40% of Earth's resources. Do it. The quantum disruption pulse transmitted instantaneously across 25 light-years, striking the Zephyrian network hub in the Vega system with the concentrated force of Earth's entire power generation capacity. The cascade effect propagated through the quantum infrastructure within seconds, reaching every connected system in the Zephyrian network. In Sol System, the effect was immediate and dramatic. Every Zephyrian vessel suddenly lost coordination, their formation dissolving as individual ships found themselves unable to communicate with each other or their commanders. More critically, their advanced weapon systems began failing as the quantum computers that controlled them lost access to their network-based processing power. Captain Vasquez watched from the bridge of her damaged ship as the alien fleet descended into chaos. Ships that had been moving with perfect precision began colliding with each other as their navigation systems failed. Energy weapons powered down as their quantum-based targeting systems lost coherence. All human vessels, this is Admiral Chen. The alien network has been disrupted. Begin immediate offensive operations. The surviving human ships, many of them damaged and running on auxiliary power, suddenly found themselves facing enemies that couldn't coordinate their movements or maintain their advanced weapon systems. The tide of battle shifted dramatically as human vessels pressed their attacks against opponents who were essentially flying blind. The battle for Sol System ended within 3 hours. Unable to communicate, coordinate, or maintain their sophisticated technology, the Zephyrian fleet surrendered ship by ship as human forces surrounded them. But the real victory was happening across the galaxy. Reports began filtering in through conventional radio transmissions, as human monitoring stations detected the collapse of the entire Zephyrian Galactic Cooperative. Dr. Wong presented his analysis to the exhausted command staff. Based on the radio chatter we're intercepting, the quantum network collapse has crippled their entire civilization. Worlds that depended on network-based infrastructure are facing massive system failures. More importantly, species that were under Zephyrian control are declaring independence. Chen sat in her command chair, looking out at a solar system littered with disabled alien vessels and the wreckage of human ships. They'd won, but the cost had been enormous. Nearly 2/3 of humanity's space fleet was gone. Earth's power infrastructure was severely damaged, and they'd just made enemies of an interstellar civilization. Admiral, Torres approached her with a tablet showing long-range sensor data. We're detecting something interesting from the direction of Alpha Centauri. Chen looked at the display showing a small formation of ships approaching Sol System, but these vessels were broadcasting human-designed identification codes. Who are they? According to their transmissions, they're representatives from 12 different species that were under Zephyrian control. They want to discuss forming something they're calling the Free Worlds Alliance. Chen felt a smile crossing her face for the first time in weeks. Humanity's refusal to pay galactic taxes had apparently triggered the collapse of the galaxy's major oppressive government. President Santos appeared on the communication screen from the government bunker. "Admiral, what's our status?" "Madam President, I'm pleased to report that humanity will not be paying any galactic taxes. Furthermore, it appears we've accidentally started a galactic revolution." As Chen spoke, she could see through the command center windows that the lights were coming back on in the cities below. Human engineers were working around the clock to repair the power grid damage, but they were also working on new projects based on captured Zephyrian technology. The aliens had come to Sol System expecting to collect tribute from a primitive species. Instead, they'd encountered humans who answered demands for submission with warships, ingenuity, and a determination to remain free that surprised even themselves. Humanity had not just survived its first contact with galactic civilization, they'd reshaped it. As the first ships of the Free Worlds Alliance entered Sol System for peaceful negotiations, Chen realized that Earth had gone from being a target for galactic taxation to being the capital of a new kind of interstellar community, one based on freedom rather than tribute. One where species could develop according to their own values rather than the demands of distant bureaucrats. The Zephyrians had wanted to tax humanity into submission. Instead, humanity had taxed them out of existence and built something better in their place. It was, Chen thought, a very human way to solve a galactic problem.